If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Tonight will find you for a reason. The house gets quieter, the screens dim, and something inside you stops pretending. That small, honest part of you, soft, restless, maybe a little raw, slides up to the surface. It is not a betrayal, it is a call. During the day, you move through the world with half your attention trained on survival. You answer messages with practiced speed. You smile in meetings while already thinking 5 steps ahead. You keep the lists tight and the explanations shorter because calm is a useful costume. But when the lights shift and the noise thins, the costume loosens, the survival self steps down, the night self steps forward. It brings questions you've been politely putting off. It brings the weight you didn't let settle during daylight because you were busy carrying it like a badge. Proof of effort, proof of care, proof that you kept going. This is the moment most people treat like an enemy. The late-hour ache, the sudden heavy quiet that cracks open whatever you were patching together during the day. You may feel like you are unmooring, that the floor has dropped. That sensation can feel alarming. I want you to know, gently, clearly, that not everything that feels like breaking is a breakdown. Sometimes the body, the heart, the nervous system, call it what you will, has simply found the ceiling of what it can tolerate, and the noise of your life nudges loose what no longer belongs. Release follows pressure, not always all at once, and not always on schedule, but it follows. Picture a room with a low ceiling, cluttered with the things you've gathered to prove you're okay. Each item is a compromise, a habit, an obligation, an old answer that no longer fits. Night is the person who flips the lights on and shows you the ceiling. You can either keep stacking and hope the ceiling remembers to rise, or you can choose, tonight, to remove one item from the pile, one small boundary, one tiny act that says, "Not tonight." Maybe that looks like this. You decide not to respond to a particular message. You close the app you habitually scroll when the house is quiet. You put a time limit on decision-making, no big choices before morning. You tell one person, "I'll talk about that tomorrow," and you mean it. The boundary is the simplest directional step. It is not avoidance. It is a recalibration. It tells your interior landscape which way you are leaning. It protects a little space. That space is where clarity begins. If this idea is landing with you, try this for tonight. Pick one thing you will not engage with, say it aloud, or write it down. Notice how that creates room. That is the one soft CTA for now, no pressure beyond choosing. You don't have to overhaul everything, you only have to begin. There is a pattern here, and many have recognized it before you. Someone left this not long ago. I stopped answering at midnight, and for the first time in months, I slept without the phone buzzing next to my face. That's not a miracle cure. It is a boundary that shifted an entire next day. It's evidence of how a single choice can open up the simplest form of relief. That relief then thickens into steadier things, clearer thinking, kinder decisions, less reactivity. It ripples. Pressure, in plain terms, does not rise endlessly. At some point it meets resistance and hits a ceiling. That ceiling can be social expectation, personal code, fatigue, or the accumulated debts of saying yes when you wanted to say no. When the pressure finds a lid, something inside rearranges. It may feel like collapse. It may feel like an earthquake inside your chest, but more often it is a gentle loosening. The edges of old habits come away, and there is a vacancy where something new can land. That vacancy is not empty in a threatening way. It is possible. It invites small, careful choices. Let me be clear, this is not a promise that one boundary will fix everything. It won't. But one boundary tonight is a directional choice. It signals to your interior system that you are attempting a different path. Choices accumulate. Direction matters more than intensity. The soft, steady rerouting of your attention, marshalling it toward care rather than mere endurance, starts to alter the flow of your days. You will not feel it as a thunderclap. You will feel it as a series of quiet shifts that, over time, change who is allowed to sit at the table of your life. Practicality helps. Here are 3 small, concrete options you can choose for tonight, with short, simple ways to enact each one. You might choose no immediate replies. Pick one conversation thread that you will not answer until tomorrow. It could be the anxious text that tends to spiral, the message that invites you to take on more than you have, or that late-night debate that drains you. Before bed, tell yourself, I will respond after rest. If needed, send a short note now. I'll reply tomorrow. That tiny deferral interrupts the rhythm of urgency and gives your mind permission to settle. You might choose a one-app pause. Decide to close one app for the rest of the night. Social media, news, whatever reliably pulls you into comparison and reactivity. Physically remove notifications, log out, or move the icon to another screen. Make a ritual of setting it aside, an intentional motion that marks separation. The act is small, the message it sends to your brain is large. You are choosing your internal temperature for the night. You might choose no big decisions. Put a moratorium on major choices, career moves, relationship ultimatums, large purchases, until the morning. If a decision pops up, write it down. Give your future self permission to answer with a clearer mind. This boundary prevents impulse from masquerading as conviction. Each option has a line you can actually say, I'm not able to decide this tonight, or I'm pausing this conversation until morning. Those phrases honor both your limits and the people involved. They don't shut the door, they protect the doorway. Those small acts are the start of rebuilding a different kind of hope. Consider the difference between fragile hope and resilient hope. Fragile hope depends on outside conditions aligning perfectly. It is often loud and urgent, tethered to what others must do for you. Resilient hope is quieter. It is an internal posture. It says, I can withstand discomfort long enough to choose what aligns with what matters. It doesn't deny pain. It refuses to make pain the only currency of truth. Resilient hope is forged in doing the small, steady things that keep you oriented toward your own integrity. Think of a vase on a windowsill. Fragile hope is placing your entire trust that the light will always stay the same for that plant to thrive. Resilient hope is noticing that some nights the light dims and still watering the plant with the same gentle care, adjusting the routine, moving the pot when necessary. It protects the living thing. It recognizes seasons. There are people on the other side of these choices who will be affected by the version of you that respects your limits. The colleague who receives your steady, calm decisions at work. The friend who experiences your presence because you are not distracted. The child or partner who learns that boundaries are a form of love, not withdrawal. Small boundaries are not selfish, they are generative. They create ripples that extend beyond the night they were chosen. That is the relational stake. By protecting your edge, you make room for healthier connection. A short vignette. A woman named Maya found herself glued to her phone after her partner left for a late shift. She would scroll to quiet the ache that came with the empty apartment. One night, tired of waking to a knot of anxiety, she chose a rule: no screens after 10 p.m. She put the phone in another room and left a note for her partner. Sleeping now. We'll talk in the morning. That single act let her fall asleep without defending herself to herself. The next morning, she woke with more patience, and the small argument that would usually blow up into hours of questioning never began. The boundary didn't remove the problem. It removed the panic that fed it. Another vignette. Thomas worked nights and felt obliged to be constantly available for his younger sibling, answering every drama as if his presence alone could fix it. One evening, he told his sibling, I love you, I care. I'll check in tomorrow at noon with my full attention. He meant it. He showed up the next day, focused and calm. What changed wasn't the amount of help he offered, but the quality. The younger sibling began to bring problems with less theatrics because the space between crisis and response lengthened. The relationship matured. These are not exceptional stories of perfect people. They are quiet examples of people experimenting with small protective gestures. You don't need to be extraordinary to try them. Now let's pause for a brief reflection you can do tonight. No tools required, only your attention. Ask 3 short questions to yourself. What is one recurring thing I do at night that leaves me more exhausted in the morning? What is one small action I can stop tonight to see if that pattern shifts? If I wake up tomorrow and things are better by even a small margin, what would that prove about the choices I make now? You can hold those questions in your mind, or you can write one of them down. Writing can be a commitment. It is a way of telling the part of you that keeps doing the same thing, we are trying something different. If you are someone who finds grounding through the body, try this resettling practice before sleep. Sit or lie down comfortably. Place your hand on your ribs or on your belly. Notice the rise and the fall. Breathe in just enough to feel the movement. Breathe out fully, but without forcing it. Let your shoulders soften. Imagine the weight you've been carrying settling into the floor beneath you, not dissolving, just set down for a while. Offer your mind the simple instruction: we will meet this again with clearer eyes. This is not therapy. It's a practical, embodied reminder that your body can be a place of refuge. If breath feels inaccessible tonight, simply soften your jaw and unfurrow your brow. The body listens to small signals. There are moments when the night reveals not only fatigue, but the honest outline of what needs to change. Sometimes the truth is big. You need a new job, a conversation, a different schedule. More often, the truth is incremental. You need to stop giving away your quiet to things that don't feed you. The trick is to begin, not by trying to change everything all at once, but by choosing one measurable boundary that you can keep. This is how momentum accrues. Small choices are the scaffolding of larger transformation. Hope, rebuilt this way, looks different from the hope you may have been taught to expect. It is not a promise that hardships vanish. It is a willingness to persist with gentleness. It is an agreement with yourself to create conditions where you might thrive. It is a refusal to let every late-night burst of panic become your authority. It is the quiet confidence that you can tend to your edges and watch, with patience, the world respond. If the thought has crossed your mind that these feelings indicate something clinically severe, if your nights are filled with constant despair, if your safety feels compromised, if you have persistent thoughts of harming yourself, please consider reaching out to a trusted professional, a helpline, or someone who can offer immediate support. This script isn't a substitute for care when you need it. Getting help is a sensible, brave step when the load is too heavy to carry alone. Tonight's small decision carries a larger promise. When you start protecting the shape of your evenings, you begin to choose the architecture of your days. That architecture includes kinder relationships, clearer work, and opportunities that show up because you are not accidentally exhausted. People who are not ready for a steady you tend to drift. People who are ready will come into the space you guard. That does not mean everyone will stay. It means the people who benefit from the real you will have room to show up. Before we close, allow yourself a small experiment for tonight. Choose one boundary. Make it specific, measurable, and reversible. Examples: I will not reply to work emails after 9 p.m. I will close social apps at 10 and put my phone in another room. I will defer decisions until after breakfast. Say it out loud. Tell yourself this is an experiment. Treat the boundary with the same curiosity you would give a small scientific test. Observe. Note how your body responds, how your dreams change, how your morning shifts. Small data points matter. And if tonight this message found you and landed in a place of recognition, here is a simple invitation. Leave one word in the comments about the boundary you chose, or follow for more reflections if you want to practice this together over time. No performance, no scorekeeping, just one small public act to enforce the decision privately. Tonight is a threshold. It is not a verdict. The weight you feel is not the final word. The ceiling you bump into is simply a sign that the old arrangement no longer fits. You can decide to change one little thing. In doing so, you allow a soft landing. Breathe. Close the door to what drains you. Let the quiet do its work. Tomorrow will come with more clarity, because you gave yourself permission to end this day on your own terms. You didn't fail. You began. Tonight will find you for a reason. Let it be the reason you start protecting the life you want to live.